welcome to another episode of Jim's Love a Garden. Okay, and the last plant I'm going to be putting in today, this is another flower that I collected last year, and I don't know if you can read that, but this is Nicandra phylloceloides. I think that's how you pronounce it anyway. This is another pretty plant. Again, this is another sort of biennial type plant, or at least that's my understanding. As I say, this is a plant that I saw in a friend's garden and collected the seeds, and the actual seed pods come in these, they look a little bit like Cape gooseberries. The actual flowers are purple, then you get these sort of Cape gooseberry sort of things forming on the end. I don't know if you've ever grown Cape gooseberries. The sort of it's like a structure that looks very similar to that, and then inside you've got like a sort of like a orangey yellow, looks a little bit like a tomato, to be honest with you, but you grow them inside your greenhouse. But if I can just show you the seed, I'll just try and, there's actually loads of seeds here, and again it's a small seed, so those are the seeds there, look, and they look like sort of, I don't know, coffee coloured little chocolate drops, sort of chocolatey coloured. Now, I don't know what the germination rate of this is. I hope it's not too good, because I'm putting loads of these in. And again, the seeds are quite small, so I'm only planting them about a quarter of an inch or so deep, you know, sort of about, I don't know, about 5 centimetres, 6 centimetres deep. And all I'm doing is just sprinkling these on the surface. And as soon as I've done that, what I'll do is I'll just sprinkle over some more compost. I think that's enough there, to be honest. And when you've not, you know, when you've not grown a plant before, and I think when you've not got the instructions for seed packet or something like that, it's a little bit more exciting to see if you're actually going to get something. But as I say, there's loads of them in there. There's probably about sort of 40, 50 in each module. But I'm just sprinkling a little bit of soil on the top. The ones in the middle are possibly a little bit deeper than a quarter of an inch, to be honest. I'm just patting them down. And all I'm going to do now is just give those a little bit of water. As I say, I don't know what the germination rate of this is going to be, but as long as I get some, that's all that matters. And I'll show you what these look like in a couple of weeks when they've all started. But as I say, the flowers of these are quite pretty. So if you look on the internet for Nicandra, Nicardra, and I understand the second name of them is Physaloides. So if you put that into Google, so if you got a pen, I'll quickly just repeat that. It's Nicandra, Nicardra, and the second word is Physaloides. If you look on the internet, you'll find them. I did struggle to find them originally, and if you remember, I actually did a quick episode on these when I was saving the seed last year, and I can't remember exactly what it was, but somebody wrote in and said, "Oh, that's these." So, and I've seen a picture on the internet, so I'm pretty sure it is those. So anyway, I'll just give these a little bit of water and leave them on the surface here in the greenhouse, and we'll see how they develop in the next couple of weeks. Okay, so this is where I'm going to put the
sweet potatoes. Now this ground was put in here a few weeks ago, as you know, and it's nice and loose. What I'm going to do is just sweeten that up with some really good quality compost, and all I'm going to do now is just basically mix the compost and the dirt together, just to get it down into the... Now there has been some chicken manure put in here as well, a bit further down, and that's all been mixed in. But what I'm going to do is just very quickly mix all of this up, so I've got a good well draining but fertile ground. Now I'm going to leave it so it's around about 2 inches or so from the top. So what I want to be able to do is you know, sort of be able to water them, give them a good watering, because one thing that sweet potatoes do like is plenty of water. Now that's, I was going to put a little bit more compost in there just to, so I put probably about half a bucket of compost in there. Now that's ready to put the plant in. Now these plants are more than ready, I don't know if you can see, but these plants are more than ready to be going in. So what I'm going to do is just dig a little hole in the middle, and this ground is nice and loose, and I'm going to bury these pretty much the same depth as they are in the pot. As you can see, there's the root system, so that I'm just going to gently put them in like that, and I'll now do the other one as well. What I'm going to do is just wrap that round and give it a good watering, and what I'm going to do is I'll show you when I've got the other one in and ready to go. So that's the sweet potatoes in. Now I have put some grass in the bottom, I forgot about that actually, so the ground feels really nice and warm, so that should get them off to a really good start. Now what I'm going to do, as you can see here, is just give them a really good water to get them going. But what I'm going to do in the next couple of weeks is build like a frame round inside, so I'm going to get some mesh, quite coarse mesh, round, and I'll sort of bring it up to kind of here, about probably 2 or 3 foot high, with a ring at the top just to support it, and then basically all of this will be contained within the ring, so I can so it doesn't kind of fall all over the place and make a mess and sort of grow over everything else. So that's basically the sweet potatoes in, and I'll let you know how we get on with them in the next few weeks. Okay, so Harrison fencing is basically the stuff that they put around building sites. Now these are really useful on allotment. Now a lot of people that I know actually use these as they are on allotment to sort of cage in brassicas or fruit or whatever. Now personally I think they're a little bit too industrial, and I don't like the way that they look on an allotment. I think it can look a little bit messy if you're not careful. So what I'm going to be doing with these is I'm going to be cutting off the mesh and using that for the well, various crops really, but I'll be using it at least this year for the lentils to climb up. So I'm going to be cutting this off, and then the actual framework, all of this pipe work, I'll be using that to basically redo one of the tunnels, because one of the tunnels down the allotment, not the green one, the other one, that was the first one I made, and the middle section really needs to be replaced. So what I'm going to do is later on in the year you'll see me using this pipe to sort of bend it into the shape of the arch over the top, and then making a sort of middle section, so it'll end up looking like the green one when it's finished. But and then I'm going to be putting some sort of straight pieces in between them as well. But this is a really good source of sort of steel pipe and mesh, so if you ever do get the opportunity to get hold of any of these, they're well worth getting. Now these didn't actually cost me anything. I was given these off a building site by the foreman of the building site. Obviously you always ask, but to be honest with you, even if you did buy these, you know, they're only sort of about £10 each or so, if that, and you know, you can pick them up really cheaply. So look out on eBay or around building sites and stuff like that, and you can pick these up quite easily. But as I say, I picked these 4 up this week, and I'm going to be using them to initially to make the grill, but later on in the year I'll be strengthening the tunnel. So I'll just cut the grill off here, and basically the point I wanted to make was, when you're taking the grill off, obviously the spot welded here, so what you want to do is avoid moving this, because what you can do is you'll contort the grill. So basically what you need to do is cut the grill here and along here. You can't sort of take it off here because it'll just bend and contort. So basically cut it off here straight through, and then obviously cut these off here. And then what you can do is you can take these off later on just with a cold chisel, and you can take them off quite cleanly. And because it's galvanised steel, obviously you know it's going to last a good time, so it's good stuff. So I'll cut all this off now with the angle grinder. So there you go, it's just taken about 5 minutes to create sort of 7 strips like that, which is ideal for trading up the lentils. As you can see here, these are more than ready to go out. So what I'm going to do is very quickly make the framework out of that. I've already made one which you saw in the previous episode. So what I'll quickly do now is put another frame up, and then I'll be planting the lentils.
Now, apologies if it's a little bit windy. I'm just trying to get these lentils in, and unfortunately the plants have started to look a little bit stressed out. I think by rights I should have had these in perhaps a week ago or so, because I mean these modules are good, but they'll only support the plants for so long. But all I'm doing is planting them exactly the same as the chickpeas, and basically I'm just pulling out the modules and planting them in along the road, just making sure that the ground is nice and loose. Now, they recommend that the plants, if you've never grown lentils before, basically, as you can see, there are the plugs, and they're about sort of 5 inches or so tall. What you should be doing is planting these, the actual plants about 6 inches apart, and the rows are set at 18 inches apart. Now the reason you need to do that basically is to ensure that the plants have sufficient ventilation around them. Now I've obviously put these rows sort of facing sort of east to west, so that the wind's going to blow up between the rows, and I'm just sort of loosening up the ground. This ground has been dug over and rotavated twice this year, so it's nice and loose. But as I say, I'm just putting these in about 6 inches apart. I'm going to give them a really good watering, and then when I've got it all finished, I shall show you what it looks like.
Okay, so that's the first row in there. So I've just started this next row here, and I'll go all the way there, and then I'll put another row in here. But I'm just sort of doing the video now because I think I'm going to run out of light before too much longer. So all I'm going to do now is just give them a really good watering, and I'll show you what they look like on the next tour. Okay, so just do a few of the comments that have come over in the last week or so. The first one's from Andrew Lee, and he was saying he's not been able to dig his plot over, you know, perhaps as much as he would have liked to, and he was saying how he just gets sort of discouraged by the fact that he hasn't been able to do as much as he could do. The one thing that I would suggest, because I've had this in the past when you know, when I've had the children or you know, where I've been busy with other things, if you're not able to use part of the plot, the best thing I can suggest is get yourself some black plastic, cover it over, and just put yourself a couple of house bricks or weight it down in some way, and cover the ground with black plastic. And what that will do is it will you know, sort of stop the weeds from growing, and it will keep the sort of the ground clear. So when you do get around to having a bit more time, you can just pull the black plastic off, dig it over, and then you're away. So it'll sort of kill all the weeds. The one thing I would suggest that you do though is put the black plastic over, and then get a fork, and then just put loads of holes in the black plastic. What this will do is it'll let a bit of water through into the ground, so the ground doesn't, you know, sort of get too dry under there. But that's the best thing I can suggest. You know, just to keep the ground clear. And if you're not using it for a year, you know, if you cover it, you know, over for a year with black plastic, you're not getting weed seeds going all over the place and all the rest of it. Plus, it looks a little bit more tidy than just having, you know, just sort of leaving it to go, and then you know, you don't need to strip it down or wherever and get rid of the weeds. So all the best with that, Andrew. The next one comes from Brian
Horry, I think his surname is. He's from Manchester, and he was saying about the broccoli, the problem they've had with the broccoli. Now all the broccoli's gone to, basically has already sort of come to fruition. It's only kind of that high, and it's already starting to, you know, sort of go into the, you know, sort of form the flowers at the top. Now, Brian's quite rightfully said, you know, the reason why it would sort of do that is if the plant's got stress. Now, I completely agree. If you do stress sort of broccoli plants or any brassicas, they will run to seed a lot quicker. The thing I don't understand is they've been completely watered. You know, they've been, you know, they haven't been sort of sitting in water. They've been watered every night. I sort of took them out and let them sort of harden off outside. You know, they weren't pot bound. I put them in the ground. I've done everything that I normally do. I don't believe I've made any mistakes. However, for some reason they've gone the way that they have. And I've also noticed Nigel over in Wolverhampton, Muddy Boots. He's also had some of his broccoli go exactly the same way. Now I think, I don't know, I think it's the weather conditions that we've had with this sort of really hot, cold sort of swings that we've had. We've had really hot days and then sort of cold nights, and then it's been sort of swinging backwards and forwards, and I think that's possibly, you know, sort of contributory factor to it. But as far as I know, I kept them well watered and I've not let them get pot bound, so I can only put it down to the weather. I don't believe I've done anything wrong myself, but anyway, I've put another batch in now. They're just here, and so what I'll do is I'll let them, you know, I'll crop what I can off, you know, the ones that are there, and then what I'll do is I'll see if they start to throw any side shoots out. If they don't, I'll pull them all out and replace them. So nothing lost really. The next one comes from Ken Fuller, and he was talking about. I put a comment out when I planted these sort of tomatoes in this bed here, and now they're a little bit closer than I would put them normally, and I was a little bit concerned. And he said the one thing that he'd be concerned about planting them this close would be the, you know, the sort of the airflow and sort of getting blight on them. And Ken, I absolutely agree with you. That was the one concern I got. Now, I think what I'll do is, because they're sort of planted so closely, what I'll do is I'll keep my eye on them, and if they're starting to get a little bit, you know, sort of too crowded and too sort of, you know, there's not much airflow now, what I'll do is start to take a few of the sort of leaves off or side branches, so at least I've got a good airflow around. But you are right, these are, I think, a bit too close together, to be honest with you. By rights, you should be, you know, sort of planted tomatoes sort of 18 inches or so apart at least, I think, just to give them that, you know, that room. Obviously, it depends on the variety. If you have got a sort of larger variety, then obviously you need to give them a little bit more room. And I think with bush tomatoes, really, you need to allow, I don't know, maybe sort of 2.5 to 3 foot between each of the plants, because they get really bushy. And so I think you know, with bush type tomatoes, like the little cherry tomatoes, you need to give them a little bit more room than, you know, than perhaps that. But the normal sort of upright tomatoes, I think sort of 18 inches to 2 foot is probably the best thing to do, and I think these are a bit close together, but we'll see how we go. The next one comes from Richard Sydenham, and he was talking about the sort of the wood chips and the grass comment that I put in. Now, when I was talking about this, Richard is right, because what he said was you don't really need to put the grass on there because it won't take the nitrogen out of the ground unless it's in contact with the ground, which is completely right. But what I was thinking was the reason I put grass on with the wood chip is to get it to rot down as quickly as possible, because obviously you want to use the ground. Now, if you put wood chip round your plant as a mulch or something like that, obviously you don't want it to rot down as quickly. So you know, you wouldn't put any sort of wood chip, like I've put wood chip all the way around the asparagus out here, which is more of a mulch than anything, and that's obviously not rotted down. However, the mulch that I put down on the wood cuttings that I've put down onto the rhubarb, I also covered with a load of grass. Now that's completely rotted down now, so that just goes to show the difference between putting grass on it or not. The grass sort of has two effects. One, it keeps the moisture in, which is obviously you need moisture to, you know, to sort of rot it. And secondly, it does add nitrogen, which is what's needed for the, you know, the bacteria and that to break down the grass. So if you want it to rot down quickly, as I suggest, you know, sort of put sort of grass with it. If you just want it to sort of pile it up and let it rot over the year, which will take a little bit longer, you can do that as well. But thanks for your comment, Richard. The next one comes from the Happy Garden, and they were talking about wood chippings as well, and they were saying, is it better to put the grass underneath or on top? I think it's better to put it on top. The reason being is if you put it on top, it's going to keep the moisture in to the the wood chip, to keep the wood so the wood chip moist. If you put the grass underneath, then it's more likely that the wood chip will get dry and it won't break down as quickly. So what I always do is put the wood chip down first and then put the grass on the top. And it is actually good to give it a bit of a mix up as well, to get it all mixed up. But it's nice to have some grass on the top, just to keep the moisture in as much as you can, to sort of get the sort of breakdown of the wood as quickly as possible. And the other comment that the Happy Gardener put in as well was he said that they'd put a load of beans in this year, and also their sort of beans had rotted off. Now, you know, I've had a problem with my sweet corn and also the peas, and basically they were just sort of rotting off. Now, I honestly believe, again, it's been the weather that we've had this year, because what's been happening is we've had really nice warm days. I've come up and given them a really good watering, and overnight it's gone cool, or the following day it's been cool, and rather than that water sort of evaporating off or whatever, it's just they've just sat in there and they've rotted. So again, I think it's been down to trying to predict the weather and sort of potentially overwatering the plants, because the conditions have been cooler the following day than it has been, like that day. So I think that's why the the sort of the beans, the corn, the peas, etc. like that have sort of rotted off. Anyway, that's all the comments for this week. Thank you for all the comments that have been sent in, and I'll answer the next load in the next few videos. Okay, so just to do a really quick tour of the greenhouse, because I've not shown you for a week or so. These are the Nero kale. They're almost ready to go out, so I'll be putting those out in probably a week or so. These beans are, as you can see, more than ready to go out. Now, if they do start to twist around each other like that, what I suggest you do is very, very carefully just sort of untwist them before you take them out of the greenhouse. And then what they'll do is they'll twist right around the poles. But really, these are going to go out in the next few minutes, to be honest with you, because they really are sort of more than ready to go out. The tomatoes are doing really well. These are the ones that are sort of a little bit closer together. These are the sweet corns that got potted up last week. As you can see, they've really shot up. But the one thing that you need to be doing with your tomatoes is just checking for side shoots. So just go up your sort of tomatoes, and you can see here there's a bit of a side shoot forming there. So whilst they're still small and young, I'll have to pull that off a little bit too much, but if you see that, that's the kind of the side shoot that you want to be pulling off. And what you want to try and do is sort of, unlike I've just done that, you want a clean break. See, this one here is getting a little bit bigger, so if you just push it over to one side and sort of snap it like that, that's the best way to do it. Don't sort of cut it. I just basically just bend it over to one side, and then just sort of once a week just go around and just sort of pull off any. The smaller they are, the better, to be honest with you. But as you can see, this one here, there's one there like that. That's come off. There's another one here. Look. So if you do that on a sort of, I don't know, this time of year, you possibly need to do it twice a week, just to go around and just sort of pull them off. But I can see another one in there. I always tend to miss one, to be honest with you, but I think I've got most of them. So anyway, those are the tomatoes. The Alicante is at the front, and then we've got the money maker at the back, and then these are the sort of the cherry tomatoes here. They're the corns. As you can see, the ginger's doing reasonably well, starting to sort of shoot out. But as you can see, there's a little growing head, and I've got a second one coming at the back here. A bit of a weed there. So there should be another couple coming up here somewhere before too much longer. The grapevine is going absolutely balmy at the minute. So what I need to do is, before this gets sort of too stiff, I need to sort of tie that in there. Now this one here, I don't know if anybody can advise me, but I don't know if you can see, this is kind of, obviously I need to chop that off. And I think what I'm going to do with this one here is just take the middle one. Well, I seem to be having these sort of weird side shoots coming off, so obviously that's going to come off, and that's going to come off, so that'll be the main one there. So what I'll do is I'll sort of train that up like that, and then bring that over. But these sort of two ones obviously I need to go off, so I need to get my sharp secateurs and just give it a quick bit of a trim, because I've got some more down here that are obviously need to come off. The tomatoes on this side are doing again well. You can see how much they've grown just in this last week. I've now actually I'm getting the second fruit truss on some of them now. I noticed last night when I was watering. So here's the first fruit truss there. And you can see there's the second one forming at the top there. The cucumbers at the back are literally growing about 2 inches a day at the moment. So you can see I've tied them up, and they'll need tying again probably about in another probably a foot up or sort of 9 inches up. The bit that goes upright like that, so I always try and get a sort of some kind of tie in there every sort of 9 inches or a foot at least, because there are some, as you can see, there are some cucumbers already sort of forming there. Just zoom in. So there's a sort of young cucumber there. So you need to try and support them as much as possible, because as soon as those cucumbers sort of form, each cucumber can weigh up to, I don't know, sort of going on to towards a kilo each one, if you let them grow really big. So the vine can be potentially supporting sort of 4 or 5 kilo of fruit at some point. As you can see there's some sitting on the ground down there. But so that's the cucumber plants. We've got some of the sunflowers as well. So they're growing really well. They're going to go out very shortly. Is that it for the greenhouse? Oh no. Right, the seeds that we put in, which I think one of the videos is possibly going to go into this episode, they're the verbena, and you can see there the little plants in there. I'm about to water all this, to be honest with you. That's the Nicandra, so all of them have come. And really, when you think I've collected that seed, that's done really well. So that was the sort of the really sort of fine seed, and that was I think that was the pale sort of seed that looked like mustard seed. Sort of pale mustard seed. And over here, I haven't quite shown you yet, but that's the hollyhocks. Those are the black hollyhocks, so they're just coming through now, so they'll soon shoot up. So what I'll do, the cells that have got a couple in, what I'll probably do is separate them out into sort of the square sort of 4-inch pots, and then I'll have them probably in a row along this shelf here, just to just over the summer, just to start them off. All of the gourds really should have gone out last week, but I've been really busy with work and everything else, which is why I haven't put a video out over the weekend. But all of these really starting to look a bit stressed now, to be honest with you, so I really do need to get them out. Likewise with these tomatoes, I really need to get all the rest of the tomatoes out. I've been putting out the lentils, but I need to get these out as well. So there's these, and there's also ones at the back. The ones at the back are looking quite stressed out, even though they've been watered. I think they're just basically pot bound. So what I'm going to do is put these out, and then what I'll do is I'll sort of bob these in as well, all being well. If not, I'll put these in, and I'll probably ditch those, to be honest with you, because I think they've gone possibly too far now. And that's the greenhouse for this week. So I hope this episode of Jim's Love Garden has been of some use to you. Please don't hesitate to put any comments or questions you've got below, and I'll get back to you, and I'll see you on the next episode of Jim's Love Garden.